Hi, my name is Brian Trilly from Optimized Marketing, and I'm going to show you today the tool that we've used to get the most out of our team in the most efficient, productive days, which is really important for us because we work remotely, so we don't see our team members other than video chat on a daily basis. We just aren't interacting and seeing them in different cubicles and stuff. So getting the most out of what we do is really important. The other real critical thing is we do a lot of creative work. So work that requires deep thought and mind mapping and those types of things we would call deep work. And so making sure we have the time for that deep work and improving what we're doing because of that is really crucial. So what we originally started off with is what you can see on screen, an Eisenhower box. And so it's one of four quadrants. James Clear actually wrote a really good article about it. He explained that President Eisenhower came up with this. And you have urgent and not urgent in your columns. And you have important and not important in your rows. And I want to kind of show you the evolution. This is a few things that I had originally on my Eisenhower box. And the problem that I kept running into was twofold. One, it didn't take into account the cognitive requirements of the work, right? Some work is really simple, and some work just like drains you, like checking emails. And so if you do the draining work first thing in the morning, you just used up all this energy that you might have. Or like the programmers on our team, often they work well at night. So if they use that time when they're really focused to do that sort of draining work, it's not taking into account their true abilities. So the Eisenhower box didn't do that. And it was really hard for me to say things were not important. Well, if they weren't important, then why is it even on my list, right? And so maybe that was just because I have a team, and if it was something that I could have somebody else do, or we could just outsource it, that was always an option. And you should definitely keep that in mind. But those were the two challenges with the Eisenhower box. So we evolved that to an awesome box. And so this was taking the Eisenhower box concept, and I read a book called 2 Awesome Hours, which I'll have links to that for you. And it broke down our cognitive abilities into one of 3 categories: creative, again, what we normally call deep work; cognitive. So this is something that requires a lot of mental energy, but isn't necessarily the deep type of mind mapping or close off all distractions that I would need to do in the creative area. So the best example of this is generally checking emails, right? When you're going through your inbox, you're making hundreds of decisions. It's using a lot of your mental energy, and you're getting decision fatigue even. And so that's, cognitive work, but it's not necessarily creative work. And simple is you're just doing some sort of task. It could be a long task, but it's very well documented. It's step by step. Maybe it's gathering reports and data and so on. So the challenge we found with this is I didn't have too many simple repetitive tasks. And really in the work that I'm doing as a team leader for a digital agency, everything kind of was either deep work, it was creative, or it wasn't, right? And so, this kind of got a bit confusing. The other thing we did was we reworded important to valuable, because it made more sense. Okay, what's the most valuable work? So we think in terms of 80-20. What's my $10 an hour work versus my $1,000 an hour work? And so that just went more into our language. And then here we said, okay, these are the things I want to do today, and these are the things I want to decide on and schedule time to do these. And so we even reworded that a bit. So then we got the Awesome Box 2.0. And so this was a lot simpler for me. And so I looked at what's deep work, what's important there, and then what's everything else cognitive. Some of that might be repetitive, going through taxes or something like that. But it didn't really matter for me because I didn't do a whole lot of that. And what was more important is, okay, I need to be cognizant of the deep work and what time of the day. What energy do I have available? When am I making that important to focus on the deep work first, right? Knowing that deep work is also, mostly going to be very valuable and urgent. And then other things, I read a lot. So I'll read a book or something and I'll say, man, I'd really like to do this, but it's just not urgent. And so that just kind of builds up in this list. And I'll show you an example of that right here in a second. The other thing that we did was we sort of looked at, okay, I need to stay focused. I don't want a list that's a list. And so for the company, I have 3 goals, and everyone on our team has some core goals. We look through them in our KPIs and OKRs every quarter. And so those are my 3 focus actions. So those are things I can actually do And so if it goes through a week and I'm not doing any focused actions or any big picture goals, there's a big problem. I need to rework my schedule. Then personal stuff, those are really generic. You should be more specific, read X number of books or spend X amount of time with my spouse or work out, but you got to stay focused on those things as well. Repetitive tasks. So I kind of just got rid of those as I showed in the original Awesome Box, those repetitive things, and just threw them over to here and said, okay, what do I have to do? It's repetitive. I'll just put in there. And then here are some resources you can link to. And so to give you an example of what this looks like, here's my Awesome Box, I think from a couple days ago, with the different information that I would have. The bolded things are things that are higher priority in my list of things to do. And so I would schedule then this information. So either the night before or first thing in the morning, what became really important for me is I would take my most important things here and I would flip them over to my calendar. Hour by hour, 9 to 5, I have everything laid out. What am I going to do from 9 to 10? What am I, sometimes starting at 8, sometimes going longer than 5, but whatever your schedule is. And so it's kind of like budgeting where you have to have every dollar, give it a task. With your Awesome Box, once you have that lined up, you put it on your calendar. And then if, let's say, this task here from 1 to 3 didn't take me 2 hours, I can go back to my Awesome Box and kind of reschedule and put something else in there. But this is really useful because mentally what it does is I can close out of my emails, I can close out of my IMs, and you can do the same and just say, okay, right now I'm working on the Awesome Box. Right? Let's making this video with Awesome Box review. And I don't have to worry about thinking of distractions. So I just mentally check out of thinking, ooh, do I check my email? Do I check my texts, those types of things? Because I'm giving myself permission to focus on those, knowing I'm checking emails first thing in the morning today, which I don't always do. Usually I do in kind of early afternoon, and then last thing in the evening. So that's the real brief overview of the Awesome Box, how we got to it, how it came from the Eisenhower box. So hopefully that's as helpful for you as it has been for us. Thanks and take care.